Today's guest is Bryce Henson, the CEO of Fit Body Bootcamp and a leadership and development coach. Fit Body Bootcamp is an explosively successful worldwide boutique group fitness brand. And Bryce shares his journey from unfit guy to fit guy to personal trainer to studio franchisee to CEO and beyond. It's a very interesting and exciting trajectory for a fitness pro to consider and to be inspired by. As a leadership coach and speaker, Bryce has wonderful words of inspiration and advice for all of us too. He teaches us some lessons around defining avatar clients, about delegating the tasks away that are not in your wheelhouse, and tons more success advice that we can all use. We just love learning from absolute heroes in the wellness space. Hi, I'm Erin Power.
And I'm Laura Rupsis.
We're certified health coaches, and this is Health Coach Radio.
This podcast is about the art, science, and business of health coaching.
We share our insider tips to help you become a better coach and entrepreneur.
And we interview expert guests to discover how they've made it in this growing field.
It's time for health coaches to make an impact.
It's time for Health Coach Radio.
Without further delay, let's get on with today's conversation with our guest, Bryce Henson.
All right, Bryce, we are excited for this conversation. How are you today?
Laura and Erin, I'm doing fabulous. Thanks so much for having me on today. Super excited.
Awesome. We love it. We love it. So, we read a little bit about your story before we even kind of started this recording, but we would love for you to tell your sort of origin story, your sort of hero's journey on how you landed here.
Yeah, well, I'll unpack that box a little bit, tell you a story, specifically how I became a fitness coach, and then you can prod me along. I can also provide the backstory and how I became the CEO of the business. But ultimately, I guess I am the CEO of Fit Body Bootcamp, which are an international fitness franchise system. We have hundreds of locations throughout North America, and we specialize in group certified personal training. So we really give our clients twice the result, twice the workout in half the time with our signature 30-minute sessions. But to give you the backstory of how it came to be, I'm a guy from the Midwest, and certainly I love the Midwest, a great place, amazing salt of the earth people. But one thing is for certain, not the fitness capital of the world. So right. I spent my later teens and early 20s, not as the proverbial fat kid, but I certainly didn't have fitness in my life. Fast food, specifically Taco Bell, was a staple in my diet, which is so interesting to look back, 20 years ago in the journey. I played some sports, but I definitely never hit the weight room. And as I went through my high school and then college career, I gained the proverbial freshman 15, which turned out to be 20 pounds of body fat throughout my college tenure. And when I graduated from Michigan State, I ended up getting an internship in Los Angeles, California, which turned into a full-time job. And I was excited to be in LA, the palm trees, the blue skies, everything that California had to offer. But also being so young, immature, 3,000 miles from home, and realizing that LA can also be the plastic capital of the world. So I was insecure. I didn't have a source of friends, very little professional skills to offer the world. But really, I didn't have fitness in my life. I didn't have the energy, the enthusiasm, the vibrance that I do today. And ultimately, I lived that way for a couple of years until a fortuitous situation happened. A good buddy of mine from college, his name was Adam. And Adam was not on the cover of Men's Health, but he could have been. He had the six-pack abs, the glistening muscles. All the girls loved him. I certainly looked up to that. And he ended up moving to Southern California. We ended up living together for a period of really 2 years. And he was my first fitness mentor. And after a couple months, I finally mustered up enough courage to say, Adam, would you show me this, a little bit about this fitness game that you do? And he said, Bryce, I thought you never asked, but if we're going to do this, we're going to do it right. I need a 12-week commitment, put you on a program. I don't want to waste your time, my time. So off to the races that we went. And I'm so glad he got that commitment, because let's face it, if you're listening to this, as a fitness coach, as a wellness coach, how hard it is to get your clients on board and really committed long-term. And those first few weeks, my muscles were sore. I thought to myself, my goodness, I'm never going to be able to do this, but kept on putting one foot in front of the other and really following his guidance and mentorship, which I think is a huge value of coaching, because I would love to look you and your audience in the eye, 15 years later and said, hey, I would have got it. I would have done it on my own. But I certainly can't do that. So ultimately, I'm so grateful for that coaching, and really what he did for a better part of 2 years, but hyper-focused for that 12-week program, which I started seeing results. And in the famous words of Tony Robbins, progress equals motivation. So it gave me enough progress so I could get motivated, and then hyper-focused over the next 6 months. He introduced me to fitness, to fat loss, introduced me to circuit training, clean nutrition, but most importantly, coaching and accountability. And I dropped 20 pounds of body fat, put 20 pounds of lean muscle, but way more than that. And I guess to put a bow on how I got inspired to be happy. I'm a fitness coach. Is it changed my life? More energy, confidence, enthusiasm. It became one of the least performing sales rep in my company, all the way to the highest performing sales rep in my company, all because of the foundation of fitness. And that was really my impact with fitness that really kind of led the spark, if you will, to become a fitness coach, to become a Fit Body Bootcamp owner, a gym studio owner, and then ultimately to become the CEO of a franchise. So that's my story and why I'm so passionate to serve coaches, to serve health, wellness, fitness, nutrition coaches, so that way we can all make a bigger impact together.
You know what I liked about that story was I like that you can remember what it was like to be the beginner.
Yeah.
You know, you can connect to, I needed this mentor, my buddy, Adam. He said, I need a 12-week commitment. That was great. That was great coaching on his part. Just getting you to that sort of that small sort of introductory step where you said you started noticing some changes, but you know, even remembering how sore you felt and and just how it feels to be a beginner. I honestly have to say, and I'd love to know your opinion on this. Anybody who's in the fitness space, but to be able to do any health space, it's really important to connect back to that beginner's mind and what it feels like for the new person coming in and all the growing pains and all the little bumps and struggles they're going to come up against. What do you think about that?
Oh, amen. And interesting, Aaron, just this past weekend, I always try to keep that white belt mentality because now I've been, a fit guy, 10% body fat, work out multiple times throughout the week and have my fitness dialed in. There's certainly other areas of my life where I need coaching and help and support. But even this past weekend, one of my colleagues here at our franchise headquarters is really, really big into Brazilian jiu-jitsu. And I ended up living in Brazil for a couple of years of my life. So I have that connection there, but I've never done jiu-jitsu before. So literally this past Saturday, hit the mats for the first time. I got my gi. I literally had my white belt base, literally and figuratively, and went through an 1.5-hour training session. And holy smokes, it was so great to kind of be ingrained as a first timer. I felt out of place. I felt so insecure. I literally was the proverbial 300-pound person in the class trying for first time. And that really grounded me. And it ultimately provided me better perspective to what our new clients are coming in. Interestingly enough, we just launched a fitness challenge, a fall transformation challenge for all of our locations across the brand. And that was really good insight for me as a CEO and also the owner of a location to really understand and really remember what it was like being that first timer. Because when you remember that, when you have a good understanding of where you were back in the day, it gives you way more perspective, knowledge, insight, empathy to coach your clients at a higher level.
Completely. And if I may close the loop, I actually think when I train coaches, when I train and mentor health coaches, I always try to impart to them like, wow, this is such an exciting time for you as a health coach because you're new. You're in your beginning and let's get excited about being a beginner. Like your excitement to be the beginner at the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu class. I think that's hard for adults. I think it's actually hard for adults. Most people coming into health coaching as a profession are grown-ups and they've been, maybe a lot of them have made a career change and it feels extremely daunting / showstopper to be new.
Yeah.
But what I'm hearing you say, you're embodying it, is this excitement at being a beginner. I love to hear that.
Totally. And I mean, it comes with a double-edged sword. The reason that people don't have excitement for it or maybe some anxiety, because it's tough. Like anytime you do something for the new time, you're not good. You're not going to be good. It's going to take you more reps and sets. And let's face it, human nature, we always want to come in, with accolades and people singing our praises. And when you attempt something that you're new to, that you're not familiar with, you're not going to be good. It can feel awkward and you can feel insecure. And that's not really a good feeling. But as we know, that's just the comfort zone you're pushing up against. And really everything that's beautiful and bliss in your life and the achievement really comes outside the comfort zone. So it's cliche, but it's true. And really to put a bow on it, I think it's so impactful to your point, Aaron, that as health coaches, as wellness coaches, as fitness coaches, that, we continue to hone in our craft and, become more knowledgeable and learn the skills that we need to in order to help our clients at a higher level. But it's also really important to really continue to take new experiences, put yourself in uncomfortable situations so you have that frame of mind so you can be a better health coach to your following.
Yeah, what I took away from your story is just how, and I mean this in the best possible way, how common this is for every single person I talk to who's interested in going into health or fitness coaching, that these are people who have had some sort of aha moment themselves, that have come through some sort of adversity that they learned from, grew from. They went from being overweight or unhealthy or insert whatever challenge it was seemingly insurmountable at the time, and made this transformation either with the help of another person or with finally just pulling up their bootstraps, doing their own research and saying enough is enough. And now I'm on this other side. And this has inspired me to build a career that I love helping others. Right. And so this is where so many people, though, get stuck. The difference between where you are and so many people that never let it be anything other than an aspiration. Okay, is how do you take that sort of inspiration, that like passion for what you want to do, and move forward with something? Because this is where the insecurity comes from. This is what we hear all the time. I'm not a doctor. I'm not an RD. I'm not in the best shape of the world. Like, I don't look like I popped off of men's or women's fitness. You know, who's going to listen to me? And what Erin and I keep trying to say is the people that were who you were 5 or 10 years ago are going to listen to you. And so you have to move. So I would love for you to just share, like, I want to pull your story apart because it was condensed. I would love to kind of take a little snapshot of that piece of, hey, you know, progress equals motivation, and how that actually manifested itself in real terms. You know, what was the aha moment that for you that was, I want to make a career out of this? And sort of what was your first step?
I love that. I'll give you the aha when I realized, holy smokes, I can actually give this to other people. But I'm going to actually backtrack and just kind of talk about the foundation of what you just meant, someone going through an experience that will actually open their eyes. And for me, I give a keynote called the 3 Ps: pain, passion, and purpose. And I'm in the firm belief that the best coaches in life, and whatever you're coaching, actually have been a white belt, have actually not been good and gone through a lot of pain at the forefront. So for me, I was in pain. I wasn't fit. I didn't have, self-confidence. I was insecure. I didn't like taking my shirt off at the beach. Like, that was a pain-ridden experience that many humans experience in a variety of ways, right? And for me, the pain got too great at one point where I basically needed to take action against that to alleviate that pain. So to put a bow on that, I think it's really important for your listener to understand that going through pain, going through a challenging situation, that actually can be your biggest accolade. And in other words, I heard this recently: take your mess and make that your message. So the bigger the mess, the bigger the pain. I actually think you're going to be set up, to be a better coach as long as you process that and you go through it and turn that pain into passion and ultimately develop into a purpose. So I think foundationally, I love that. And I really want to empower and acknowledge your audience who's maybe have gone through a really challenging situation, and let that be your ammunition more than anything. That's what worked really well for me. Now, that aha moment I experienced was actually in the other side of the story that I went through. So that period that I worked out with Adam initially was 12 weeks. And that really got me to a point where I was like, oh, did I completely hit my fitness goal from that 12 weeks? No, but it got to a point. I looked at myself in a mirror one time after about 10 or 11 weeks. I was like, holy smokes, I see a difference. And that inspired me to do more. And that really carried me for the better part of 6-month hyper focus, which I really got the result I was looking for. But it carried me over, way more than 2 years as I lived and trained with Adam. This is in early 2007. This is literally in January of 2007. This is over 15 years ago, which is mind boggling. I never thought in a million years that then one little habit I'd pick up in January of 2007 would lead me to this conversation we're having in 2022, but it did. And really, on the back end of that experience working with Adam is about 6-7 months in, when I was at the gym, and actually it was a little bit longer than that, probably closer to the year mark, as I was working out and really started to establish this as a routine part of my identity. And I'll never forget, some dude walks up to me at the gym and he introduced himself and he's like, "Hey man, I wanted to say hi. I've been watching you for the last few months. I see how you lift weights. I'm like really impressed with your work ethic. I was curious, like, how do you, do this exercise, or how do you, eat? What's your nutrition protocol look like?" And for the first time, my identity fully hadn't changed yet. I was still kind of in the student mode. I'm going to learn everything I possibly can about this fitness game. I'm seeing the benefits, the impact it's had on my life, but never did I think I could actually be the one to give that gift back to others. And when that guy walked up to me that day, that was my light bulb epiphany moment, that to think, oh, wow, I can actually give this gift that was given to me. And that's really when things change for me. So to your point, in terms of the next step, Laura, I did the logical thing I could do. I knew fitness was the thing that impacted me. So I Googled what's the gold standard of certified personal trainer examinations, and National Academy of Sports Medicine came up, NASM. There's also other, really great organizations and accreditation systems as well. But I took that next step. I got certified over a 6-month period. I learned as much as I possibly could. And that was kind of the foundation, which set me up to basically then learn about Fit Body and kind of go through that. But that was really the aha moment, the epiphany moment for me when I was asked about my fitness. And then that light bulb went off and like, wow, I can make this, something bigger than I thought.
Nice.
You hear that all the time, right, Erin? We hear that all the time. Like, I kind of already doing it. People ask me questions all the time. And so I think your aha moment is similar to many others. The difference is, what's the difference between you and someone who never actually does something with it? And where can we, in this conversation, help people make that change? And for you, it was, fitness is what it did for me. So I leaned into that and doubled down for that. And for folks that were fitness was it for you, awesome. If it was a change in diet, okay, maybe nutrition is sort of where you want to focus. For other people, it was like meditation and working on sort of mindset and anxiety and kind of leaning into that to learn more. But the difference is actually taking an action and doing something about it, right?
Amen to that, for sure. But another thing I want to point out that I think was just so spot on that I felt as well, which you mentioned a few minutes ago, Laura, which was really the identity, like, wait, what gives me the certification or the authority to help other people? And I think it's just acting and literally living that lifestyle. And the biggest call to action is, in many fitness professionals and just companies in general, make the mistake of being a product-centric company, meaning they have this idea for like this product that will solve some sort of pain point, but they actually never think of who it's actually going to serve. So really, in order to make a massive influence in fitness and health in literally any category, forget about or direct your attention away from being a product-centric company and focus more being on a people-centric company. And what I mean by this is, if you can focus on the specific person, typically speaking, the person that you were previously. So just because you're going through a fitness transformation and you realize, okay, I don't have all the knowledge in the world, I don't have the accreditation in the world, you're probably not going to, from a people person perspective, you're not going to start training like Olympic athletes or people that are trained for fitness shows. Okay. Yes, you can be a fitness coach, but again, away from a product perspective, focus on the person, you're probably not going to serve that type of person, nor are you qualified to serve that type of person, which is okay, because there's so many other people that were in your previous position that need help as well. So yes, you can, go through this experience and realize, yes, I have an interest to this, but instead of that imposter syndrome carrying through, think back, okay, who specifically within the fitness, health, meditation realm can I help? And let's focus on basically targeting them to start by business coaching, and then you can grow from there. So I think that shift for me made the world of difference. And I heard that early in my career, because I also had that like imposter syndrome as well. Like, I'm still learning this process, but I realized I look back and it's like, okay, maybe I'm not going to train a fitness athlete or Olympic athlete right off the bat. And maybe I never will, but I can teach someone who was in my place where I used to be. And that's actually the foundation of my fitness coaching.
Right. And I think an important sort of adjacent topic to this, sometimes we hear this, is aspiring coaches who feel like they're not there yet.
Yeah.
I'm not fit enough yet. I haven't achieved all of my fitness goals yet. I don't have a 6-pack yet, whatever, this sort of like some kind of aesthetic or achievement that they haven't quite reached yet. But like, for example, I know a fitness coach who her area of specialty is overweight runners. Because she was overweight. She still is overweight, to be honest with you. She identifies as being an overweight runner, and she works with people who are also overweight but want to start running. And there's just nobody out there helping overweight people run. So like, if she had waited until she looked like a runner, she would not have the opportunity to tap into this audience of overweight runners. She would have been out of their league, in a manner of speaking. So I just think it's really, the encouragement here is, you don't have to have achieved some obvious fitnessy end point. To your point, Bryce, there's so many audiences out there that need different mentors to look up to. And if you're thinking about being a health, fitness, nutrition, wellness coach, you're already there. You are whoever you were 6 months ago, 5 years ago. That's who you help.
And to that point, interesting as well as like the feeling of not being there yet. My coaching is going to be, you're never going to feel like you're there yet. I don't even feel like I'm there yet. And ultimately, like I've had this crazy, amazing, so grateful experience within for professional coaching experience the last decade. There's always more knowledge I can attain. There's always a better certification. There's always something I can do better to kind of move that goalpost. In human nature, we always move that goalpost. So don't fall into the fallacy that you're going to be there at some point. Start taking action now. And to your point, with your runner who identifies as an overweight running coach, maybe she's not, her focus isn't going to be to train marathon runners who are qualifying for Boston. Maybe if she was get to that point, then she could change her avatar or dream client to someone who wants to qualify for the Boston Marathon. But where she's at right now, she can help a ton of people because there are so many people that consider themselves overweight that need to run. Focus on that dream client, and then you can, ultimately go from there. So I love that.
That's a good point. So like if right now her audience is, I'm going to teach you to run from 0 to 2 minutes and like whatever it is. But as she continues to evolve, your clientele continue to evolve. So I think that the loop closing activity there is you're not now beholden to that niche forever and ever, because you will continue to change and your audience will continue to change. And isn't it nice that we could all change together?
I'm sorry to interject there. And to that point, I feel like even for me personally, I started as a health and fitness coach from this experience, but now my journey has changed as I opened one location, scaled to 5 Fit Body Bootcamp locations, became the vice president of Fit Body Bootcamp, and now became the CEO of Fit Body Bootcamp for the last going on 2 years. I still have one gym that I service my clientele, but my focus now is really transitioning to coaching coaches more than it is to coaching clients. So I'm just a walking example of my avatar initially is even different than it is now because I've evolved over the last 10 years.
Right. And I mean, this is something that we can't pound hard enough, pick something and get started in that direction. I mean, when I first started too, my whole shtick was really just moms that have children that they're trying to like, how do I learn to eat healthfully myself when I'm surrounded by children that won't eat anything unless it's in nugget form or covered in cheese, and how do I bring this along with my children? And I still work with those people because I have 2 adult children and then 2 smaller children. That's a story for another day. But, but also because I've really just sort of focused on strength training a lot, I'm starting to attract more men that I never really had before, interestingly enough. And, but also, the switch to just online has been fantastic because for years I, worked out of a gym as well. And so here's what's interesting is I want folks to just grab hold of, this is what I can do now. This is who I can serve now. And then as I grow and mature and my business gets better and bigger, and I have more experience and I work with more humans that have different things going on. Now your sort of, I guess, pool of knowledge grows and expands, and your ability to help others over time will move with that.
Our show's sponsor is Primal Health Coach Institute. We're a health coaching school that provides aspiring and existing health and fitness professionals with the training, resources, and support to make a lucrative living changing lives. We've got thousands of graduates practicing unique coaching specialties and changing lives in countries all over the world. Visit primalhealthcoach.com to learn about all of our coaching and specialty certifications, including the Primal Health Coach Certification Course, the Primal Fitness Coach Certification Course, our Master Coach Certification Course, which satisfies the educational requirements to sit for the Health Coaching National Board Exam. We're in the process of launching several specialty courses, so existing coaches from any school can earn specialty education in topics like strength training for women, the human intestinal microbiome, functional therapeutic diets, or health coaching in medical practices. Plus, enrollment is open for our 12-week hands-on business coaching program. Our Launch Your Coaching Business course will nurture you to create and sell your signature health coaching program. We have a lot going on, so keep checking back to our website and sign up to our email list to be the first to find out when these outstanding new courses drop. Visit primalhealthcoach.com and check it all out.
And so I would love for you to kind of speak to, in the beginning, who was that niche for you? Who did you think you could help and you could target? And what led you more into group fitness over personal training? Because in the fitness world, you get some people that are like, oh, group fitness, you're never really going to see results versus, yeah, but personal training, it's not scalable. And, there's arguments on sort of both sides. I would love your sort of 2 cents on kind of where you started, who your niche was, and what led you down the path that you took.
Yeah, incredible question. And just to, I guess, reinforce where I was at in my early 20s going through that experience, my first coaching clients were guys in their 20s that didn't have self-confidence, that didn't have, experience in training, that didn't know how to put lean muscle on and didn't know how to eat nutritionally. Mm-hmm. So that was for the first couple of years when I started my kind of side business, if you will, because if you remember, I went from the least performing sales rep to the highest performing sales rep. And something I left off, I had this like aha moment that I could actually give this back, this gift of fitness back, but I actually never thought in a million years I could make it a full-time thing. My sales career was going off because of my fitness transformation. That was certainly a huge catalyst to that. And I thought, okay, kind of similar to my buddy Adam, who trained me, I can pick up some clients in the nights and weekends. And those clients resembled who I was. So that's just a more reinforcement of how I started my own coaching journey. But then what I realized is with a little bit more sets and reps and kind of learned the game a little bit more, and a fortuitous situation happened. I updated my Facebook profile to certified personal trainer. I started receiving ads from this gentleman named Bedros Keuilian, who Bedros is a world-class fitness coach, and he's the founder of Fit Body Bootcamp. He's a dear friend of mine, business partner of mine, mentor of mine to this day. And he had created a product-centric company, meaning Fit Body Bootcamp. And the avatar was already built in. Our avatar we call Mrs. Jones. She's our dream client. She's in her, between 30s and late 50s. She's a mom. She has a couple of kids, not a fitness athlete. She's not trying to shave off a second to make her 40 to make the NFL combine is what I'm trying to say. She's just trying to get in shape, lose weight. She probably doesn't love working out. She hasn't worked out since she's been in high school. And she's not going to be, that fitness, athlete per se, but she knows she wants a better life. She wants to lose the unwanted weight, have more confidence, more enthusiasm, be a better provider and support system for her family and her friends and her works, like many strong women do. So because of that shift and finding the business model of Fit Body, what I did is I fell in love with a new dream avatar, if you will, because that type of training modality could actually service Mrs. Jones. So now over the past 10 years, I've shifted away from a fitness perspective, coaching wise, that avatar of a guy in his 20s to now Mrs. Jones, who's in her 30s, 40s, and 50s, who's the matriarch of the family, who again doesn't love fitness, but knows she needs it. And that's really been the focus of my coaching journey up until I decided to kind of really grow and become a business coach, if you will, and specifically a leadership coach. And now my journey has actually transformed to be recruiting other fitness coaches who want to make a big impact and really make strong income and represent our Fit Body model. So as you can see, my journey in terms of my dream client, if you will, has changed with my growth and evolution. And to put a bow on it as well, I think there's also value of looking back and starting with who you were because you can serve them better. But I also think there's value in looking at what are the biggest pain points and what type of demographics, what type of person also has the biggest pain points in fitness. And also from a monetary perspective, has the most funding. And to finish the story in terms of where we're heading as Fit Body Bootcamp, we just launched our Fit Body Forever program, which is designed for mature adults in their late 50s, 60s, even 70s. Because let's face it, the baby boomers now, it's the biggest sense of retirees. They need fitness the most, actually, pound for pound. And if you can believe, half of our economy is controlled by the baby boomers. They actually have the most wealth. So when you look at the need, you also look at the ability to fund your business. You can also, get a little bit more sophisticated and calculated on really targeting and being very intentional on who your dream client is that you want to serve.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I think that's so important. So this idea, I was jotting notes and thinking as you were talking of this, this eventual evolution and diversification that can become available to you once you've gotten your feet underneath you and you've really worked with an avatar client that you can relate to, and you put in those reps, and eventually then you can start to broaden. So like the Mrs. Jones avatar, you, Bryce, maybe specifically can't relate to Mrs. Jones, but you have enough this sort of business acumen at this point, fitness acumen, all of the acumens to be able to extrapolate what you've learned out to other audiences that you can't specifically relate to. And I see that in every very successful, if I look at some of the most successful health coaches that are really crushing it in this space, they've been able to do that. They've diversified their offering beyond what they initially started with. We really do like to point out that you should start with what you know, but just know that with enough reps, you can branch out to these demographics that make more business sense.
Totally.
Yeah, that's great. Okay.
So who do you think is like the ideal avatar for a franchise like yours? Like who do you think a franchise structure is best suited for?
So we have two actually type of dream clients that we hone in on, and it's been an evolution, in progress. Specifically, the first one's called David, and David, it is in his 40s. He's had some prior experience. He's had also, when I say prior experience, I mean prior work experience, like a successful career, like in middle management. For all successful, or for all intensive purposes, he's been viewed as being successful, from a career working force, but just doesn't have that flame, that passion. He's clocking the 9 to 5, not feeling really energized or with purpose. And then has an experience with fitness similar to I had and similar to many of our owners had, that just changed the game for him, and realized, okay, if I run the tape through, I can continue in this corporate America job and be successful, but I'm not going to be fulfilled, and I'm not going to feel that I made a mark on the world. And really, that is a dream client that we've had a lot of success bringing on board, who's passionate about people, who's coachable, who has a positive and growth mindset, but most importantly is passionate about people and fitness. So that's, one type of dream client that was really allowed us to grow our brand. The other type of dream client, interestingly enough, that has organically happened through the years, that now we're really making a full focus to really target, is actually dream clients. We call Mrs. Jones our dream client, who comes in and has this amazing experience, and fitness is her first transformation. But we call the secondary transformation the evolved Mrs. Jones. We call her Evelyn Jones for short. So she's came in to our program. She's had the fitness transformation as Mrs. Jones, and then realizes the same way David had this experience outside of Fit Body, that, hey, I'm not living a life of passion, of purpose, of fulfillment. I need to make a change. Fit Body has been the vehicle, the coaching guide to open my world. And it only makes sense that my second transformation, being my financial transformation, is done, by being an owner of Fit Body Bootcamp. So specifically, those are two kind of primary avatars that have made incredible fitness owners. And I guess just to reinforce the qualities that really are integrated in both of them. They're passionate about fitness and people, because we are the people business first and foremost. They are coachable, because we have the playbook, just like you as a great fitness coach or a wellness coach have the playbook to get your client success. We have the playbook to get our owner success. And again, who are growth minded, because at the end of the day, you're either growing or dying. And we want to surround ourselves people who are growing, who want to continue to develop. And that's how we've been successful, and how we'll continue to be successful as a brand.
Yeah, those are great. Those are two really obviously smart, well thought out sort of avatars. It really makes sense to not target, but to evolve, I guess, the end user who's been through it and had the experience. That's a really, that's probably a very successful model, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to say, as a group fitness lover, I've always had in the back of my mind, like the desire to do something like this. What is it like when somebody, they're getting to the logistics of starting a franchise? Like, what's involved? So an upfront investment, and then, do you have to find the space? How does all that work in the Fit Body Bootcamp world?
Yeah, great question. And everyone has a little bit different path, but typically speaking, there's a few months of diligence from application process. Once, someone is identified to express interest in becoming a Fit Body owner, and there's checks and balances and, additional calls and, questions about, territory and mapping and logistics and, coaching and just business acumen. So there's an extensive vetting process, and we actually only allow about less than 1% of our applicants to actually enroll as becoming Fit Body owners. But once they get through that process and are awarded a franchise, assuming that's a strong mutual fit. I have the last interview, if you will, on Zoom. And once a franchise is awarded, and the new owner submits their buy-in, which covers their training, the brand, the territory, all the upfront cost of basically launching their business. I shouldn't say all the upfront costs specifically, though, as it relates to like our support from a franchisor perspective. Then they're off to the races. Now they're paired up with our onboarding team, who works with them to find their own lease. Now, granted, every single owner is still responsible for executing these things. We like to say that you're in business for yourself, but not by yourself. So we're here to kind of be that guide, that coach, if you will, that business coach to help you launch your fitness, coaching business. And, usually the first 6 to 9 months are pretty intensive with finding a lease and, getting your insurance. And there's just a million boxes to check that we've done this hundreds of times that we're able to provide that guidance. And it can be very exciting, but also frustrating time because you're working with the city and getting permits and all that, just the necessary evils of any, operating any local business. But once that is done and you have your lease signed and then the marketing efforts, then basically we enroll you on our grand opening marketing campaign, which is a 12-week program, launches with an opening 12-week challenge. And we've actually adjusted it, but opens with a 12-week program, if you will, to bring on an influx of members from day one. And that's the value of syncing up with a franchise partner who's had experience doing pre-sales, because back in the day when I opened with a few trials, word of mouth, that was it. Now we're opening with, I can't say, unfortunately, because the Federal Trade Commission will view that as me falsifying information, but we'll just say a lot of members from very day one. And it's really, really important because it kind of sets the owner up for success. And then lastly, they're assigned a franchise business coach, or a CAP coach, which I've referred to as for short. And that's their long-term business coach throughout the course of our process. And just like anything, when you're first starting out, the new business owner, they need a lot of hand-holding. Just like when you're a baby, you're crying and you're, in the care of your parents, and then all of a sudden you can crawl. Okay, so your parents still need to take care of you, but a little bit less. And then all of a sudden you can walk, and then you can run, and you're going to school. That's the same evolution for our business owners, or for our franchise partners, I should say. They always have that support, but certainly it lessens with time, just because just with time and execution, franchise partner can get up and running. And of course, when they launch their second and third locations, we're always here. But at that point, most times their business is on autopilot.
Yeah. So tell me, what else does Fit Body Bootcamp provide in terms of, what kind of workout is it actually, and how does it differ from like an F45 or a Burn Bootcamp and all these other brands and franchises that are out there? And so what defines what Fit Body Bootcamp means in terms of workout and fitness? And also, who does the programming? Is everybody that goes to a Fit Body Bootcamp today across the country doing the same workout? Does it all kind of come down from corporate, or do the franchisees kind of handle that? Like how much oversight is there from a corporate perspective versus what the individual is doing?
We've actually invested, our philosophy is we need to be able to provide structure and guidance and really make it easy for our franchise partners to be able to provide their coaches assets and resources to execute workouts. We also know human nature. Coaches like to coach. They like to put their own creative spin and creation on that. So we have a workout builder, which we invested hundreds of thousands of dollars as a proprietary software, which provides the guidance in terms of the structure of the workouts, but ultimately allows the creativity for each individual coach within the brand to pick out the selection that works for them. So it kind of acts as like a little calculator, if you will. If you're trying to do math, it provides the framework, et cetera. They have to punch in the numbers, and then the calculator spits out the actual program. And that's the same here. So it's the best of both worlds. We have the structure, the guidance, the foundation to make sure that our workouts and the programming are strong in integrity, but also has that flexibility for each coach to put their creativity. And ultimately, what we see is, typically speaking, when you have more buy-in from your coaches, they deliver a better session. And it translates to a better client experience. So that would be from a workout perspective that we provide. And then, in terms of the modality and, the type of experience, we specialize in 30-minute sessions, high intensity interval training. So our secret sauce is, again, twice the workout, half the time. The 30 minutes really works really well for our audience. It's a full body workout. Usually the first 5 minutes is a warm-up and demonstration while the coaches are explaining and demonstrating the workout. And then it's a 25-minute hard circuit. So it's really a 30-minute workout with a few minutes of stretching before and after to make sure that our clients are being properly warmed up and cooled down. And I would say our, defining a unique selling proposition, aside from the 30-minute condensed full body workout, which is just an incredible workout. And sometimes people say only 30 minutes. I say, come with me for 30 minutes. You're going to be drenched. But it really is the nutrition coaching program. And really our clients come to us specifically for weight loss, the vast majority of time. And we know human movement is absolutely incredible for the mind, body, and soul. But if you really want to make big strides in your body composition change, you need to focus on that nutrition. And we have a nutrition coaching program called Bootcamp Plus, which really provides that guidance and really gets the client's results. So that's how we really differentiate ourselves in the market, not just thinking of a group training program, but really all holistic nutrition, human movement, fitness, and really life coaching at that.
Ooh, okay. Okay.
That's cool.
Let's open that can of worms. So first of all, obviously yay. Of course, we have to combine the nutrition piece with the exercise, the movement piece for fat loss. Grateful that you're doing that, because as somebody who spent a long time in the fitness industry, especially in the group fitness world, I just see so many people trying to exercise away their body weight. And I've watched it not work for almost 30 years. So anyway, yay, nutrition. So to speak a little bit to, if you can, just high level, what the nutrition program, Bootcamp Plus, what type of program is it? So is it a meal plan? Is there coaching ongoing? Is it personalized? How does it kind of shake out?
Yeah. Great question. It resembles, it's one-on-one coaching, but done in a group format. So in the grand scheme of things, it's a fraction of cost, the price of what if you were to hire a nutrition coach. And note to say that that's not valuable as well. It's just our model is more group focused. And what we try to do is provide that value, but also being very price conscious, specifically when compared to one-on-one, either training and nutrition as an example. We've invested a lot of resources in a proprietary app, specifically that, allows our clients to track their food. Which is absolutely really important. And sometimes clients, they say, I don't like to track my food. And I say, I appreciate that. But if you're looking for a result, you need to track what you consume. Just like you need to track how much gas you put in your car does that with an odometer. That's what you need to do as well. If you're not cared about the result, if you just want to, have some endorphins fire off and be happy with your movement, then happy days. But if you really want to take this seriously and you're committed to the goal that you're telling us, then we need to make sure that you track. And specifically, our program, we focus on the 3 core macronutrients. So proteins, carbohydrates, and fats. And that's our philosophy that works extremely well. So from a coaching perspective and a philosophical perspective on the nutrition aspect, that's what we do. And that's our long-term Bootcamp Plus program. The only caveat on that, Aaron, is when we have a different program to bring on new clients on board. It's called the Ultimate Transformation Program, or UTP. That's a 12-week program, and we supplement that program with a meal plan, and that's kind of the training wheels, if you will. And the goal is someone starts on the Ultimate Transformation Program, which they get 12 weeks of unlimited workouts in our group training modality. They get a meal plan specifically catered to them, and then we introduce the Bootcamp Plus, the Fit Body Coaching app is what we call it. We introduce the Fit Body Coaching app, which is the basis for the long-term Bootcamp Plus, and that basically transitions away from their meal plan after week 12 into Bootcamp Plus, assuming the client wants to continue with the nutrition coaching aspect.
Cool. Yeah. So, look, we debate all this a lot on our podcast, right, Aaron, about tracking and not tracking and macros and all this other stuff. And we've gone back and forth in terms of what's best, but there's so much that's so individual to the client. But this is where the coaching aspect of it comes in. Even our own, we launched something called My Primal Coach or Primal Pro, where we ask our clients to track something. If they don't want to track what they're eating, track how you're sleeping. Track whether you, at the very least, in our words, chose supportive foods today. And what does that look like? So we are still asking them whether having to track my food is a non-starter or a yes, please. We're asking them to track something. If you expect something to change,
you pay attention.
Yeah, gosh, right. What you focus on and what you actually measure is what will change.
Amen.
So yeah, you look, and we have been, Aaron and I and Primal generally have been banging the gong that we need more coaching in fitness. There's a lot of trainers out there, and there are a lot of people that use the term coach that aren't actually coaching.
Amen.
And so I would love for you to kind of put your spin or your 2 cents on what that means in the fitness space. I think people can surmise that just based on this conversation. But, if you were talking to someone who's been a personal trainer this whole time and is talking about how my clients aren't getting the results they need, they're not showing up, I'm having a hard time keeping them compliant, or, what I'm having, and ideally what I'm finding at least is the coaching aspect is missing. You're focused on the
most important.
Yes. So how would you sort of, add some jet fuel here to the people that are still struggling with this? And how can they identify whether I'm really coaching or whether I'm just a trainer, and kind of what's the difference?
Well, I guess the biggest question, do you take a genuine care and concern in your clients? And do you meet them where they're at? And to your point, the philosophy that we use, we have an awesome, robust coaching app. but it's a piece of technology that works as a tool, but it's not the end all be all. I can't just give the piece of technology and say, okay, have fun, Mrs. Jones. That would be training. We gave the playbook, gave the game plan, but really at the end of the day, that's doing nothing from a service perspective, because maybe that training plan works well for your client, but maybe it doesn't. Maybe you need to meet them where they're at. And I think that's really the big value of a coach versus a trainer. A trainer counts the reps and sets. They know exactly the game plan, the prescription they need to provide. But ultimately, if that client's not a robot and has emotions and needs to basically, adjust things because they're in a certain different place, if you can't provide, that ability to meet with that client where they're at, then you're not coaching that client. You're actually training that client. So that's how I view that. That's actually how we view, our philosophies, across the board. So are you meeting your client where they're at? And to your point, yes, you can overtrack. Yes, you can be obsessive about it and actually inhibit you. And if that's the case, a good coach is like, all right, we're going to take like a week or two off of this. We're going to kind of like reset your mind. We're going to do some yoga. We're going to give you some other recommendations. Now, many times it's actually the opposite. People don't want to track. And okay, maybe it is to your point. Let's track your sleep. Maybe let's not track this for the next 2 weeks of this program. Let's get you a point where you're just removing McDonald's, 1 or 2 times a week. So a strong coach, to put a bow on it, has the training protocol, has the framework of how they're going to coach that client. But a coach takes it to a level, meets the client where they're at, and makes some recommendations unique to that client that potentially could be off the game plan, but it's also going to be the best long-term interest of that client. That's how I would define it.
Bravo. We agree. That's really lovely to hear. I'm excited to hear that. The individual is the factor in coaching. And that's I think the differentiator between coaching and training. I mean, I've had great results with personal trainers who put me on, honestly, probably the same program all their clients are on. And it worked out because personally, I'm a self-motivated enough person to do it, but that's not everybody's situation. And to your point, it's like, maybe this week we swap out the Cokes for a couple Diet Cokes, and maybe that's going to be our big boulder that we're moving this week. So, you mentioned the app. I'm excited about apps in this space because you can still coach within an app. I just really do want to put that out there. Just because it's done through an app, that's the tool that facilitates the communication back and forth with clients, but you can still have a meaningful coaching relationship through an app-based program. Is that how you have your coaches communicate with your clients then? Is that how the app really works?
100%. Yeah, 100%. And we've built some proprietary, it's a really sophisticated app at that. So it actually does some of the coaching as well. It's not the be all end all. There needs to be a human there because again, our client is not a robot. They're a human as well. They have emotions and fears and anxieties and, good days and bad days, et cetera. But it's a tool and it's a very powerful tool. What our clients do, part of the Bootcamp Plus program, is they weigh once a week, they put in their goals, which updates, and actually the algorithm can actually, depending on, the goal, the progress, the age, the weight, et cetera, can adjust the macronutrients based off where that client's at. But again, it has a communication tool because yes, it's a tool. It's a great algorithm. It provides great, training recommendations. But our coach still needs to be in there, monitor it on a weekly basis, check in with the client, communicate with the client. And again, from a process perspective, that's where the coaching is. So a coach takes a tool and then puts a humanized approach to it. And that's the way we found a lot of success with our organization.
When we built our app, I'll be really honest with you, I was not originally warm to the idea because I was really set in my ways that a coaching relationship is a relationship. But then I thought through it, I zoomed out, and really the elements of a coaching relationship, as far as I'm concerned, is education, accountability, and support. And that can be facilitated through an app if you just put enough care and attention. How can we teach a person? How can we provide goals that make sense for them and have some place? And really the app shines in the accountability piece because the person is logging into the app or not, completing the tasks or not. And we can actually see, and then the support comes in. That's your point. Like, I'm a human facilitating the app behind the scenes. So I really do want to say I've come around on it, and I hope any coaches who are listening who are also staunchly opposed to it will come around on it as well.
Well, I think it's interesting too, when you're coaching humans, it's just factory installed human nature. We typically are all or nothing type of beings. Like, it makes no sense if someone's like, hey, I want to get fit. I've been working out a few times a week, but holy smokes, I ate a cheeseburger and ice cream. You know what? Screw it. I'm not going to the gym today.
Yeah.
It's like all or nothing. That should not be the case. And I feel like as coaches, we're the same thing. It's like either we're all completely on technology or like against it. And at the end of the day, I think it's actually a hybrid. It's like, let's use technology as a tool, but also interject our coaching humanistic approach. And I think that's where the magic is. So love it.
And I mean, it's like my clients have me in their pocket, literally everywhere they go, right? I use our app a lot. And God, I wish I had this when I was at my gym, when I owned a gym for about 9 years. And I would say to my clients all the time, you're only here for an hour, right? I can really only truly influence you for an hour if all you're ever coming to me for is just a workout. Right? Versus a coaching relationship where I may have the ability to influence people outside of that gym space. But a lot goes missing between even weekly coaching sessions and their ability to call me. I don't know how many times people would they'd be trying to text message me and send me a photo of something. Hey, what is this ingredient? Or asking a question and needing my help. And if I'm busy, versus now, and they have all their resources right in the little app, all the little list of all the little things they need. It's literally in their pocket. So I 100% agree with both of you in terms of, if technology is used properly, it's a game changer. Mm-hmm. It's an absolute game changer.
You might as well use it.
Yeah,
to your
right?
point.
It's there. Let's start to steer its use for good.
That's it.
Right? Channel its power for good.
That's
I love it.
it.
So you're coaching coaches now. So tell us about this. Are you only coaching fit body owner coaches, or are you coaching other coaches too?
Right now, and certainly with evolution and growth, I'll continue the coaching atmosphere outside of the fit body ethers, but certainly have a lot of work cut out for me in terms of continuing to push the brand forward, especially after a really crazy 2 years with COVID. So the vast majority of my attention specifically is around coaching our fit body owners, and actually even coaching our coaching and profitability team now. So it continues to evolve. That in mind, like a big picture kind of dream of mine, or at least what I've learned throughout the course of this experience. And, I believe that there's many skills a business owner or a fitness coach or a nutrition coach need to continue to learn. And for me, as a CEO of international brand, I need to learn finance and accounting and sales and marketing and just the whole gamut, which is, I'm a work in progress and a student. I've gained a lot of knowledge in the last 15 years, as you imagine, still have a long way to go. One thing that comes inherently natural to me is the ability to lead other people and really inspire other people. And there's a lot of things that don't come naturally to me as well, which I basically delegate and bring in awesome teammates can fill up my weaknesses. So because of that, my future kind of vision is, not only continue the fitness coaching, but also the fitness coaching for Mrs. Jones, but also to like our franchise partner coaching in terms of establishing their business and growing their business within the structure, but also be able to create leadership offerings, because that is my zone of genius. That comes more naturally to me. It's a skill that needs to continue to be developed. But in my future, to your point, I have leadership coaching on the horizon is something that I want to continue to add value to the world, that people that need that help.
Awesome. I love the commentary about knowing your zones of genius, your expertise, and delegating away the things that aren't. I honestly think, when I think about a model like FitBody, it's such a cool opportunity. I'm really delighted that things like this exist for the health, fitness, nutrition coach who is maybe that Dave avatar, who is moving into this because what they were doing isn't passionate to them there's just not passionate or any kind of impact or alignment anymore. I really want to get into health and wellness coaching. I don't really think I have what it takes to be an entrepreneur or start a private practice coaching business. So spinning of the wheels and the failure to launch. But opportunities like this exist where there's no need for reinvention of the wheel. It's done for you. Know that starting a business maybe isn't your zone of genius, but people have done it who do specialize in it. This is where opting into a program like this is so cool. Laura, we have a graduate of our school, Cheryl, who after years of sort of trying to build her coaching business, realized that this sort of boutique group fitness model was really where she wanted to be. So she bought into a different franchise and she's off to the races. Now she has a successful business in the health and fitness world. The successful business she always wanted. She just asked for help. people who can do it. That's leadership. That's a really important leadership skill to develop. It's like your own personal leadership, knowing what you know and knowing what you don't know.
And having that humility to realize, okay, I don't know this. I can bring on someone to help me on that. But this is my more zone of genius. But it actually all starts, Aaron and Laura, about taking action. Because if I didn't take action in terms of like putting myself out to be a fitness coach, I would have no idea that it would transform. Initially, my initial target dream client was a guy in their 20s, then Mrs. Jones. I would also have no idea that leadership was a skill, a work in progress, but something that naturally comes to me. I would have no idea. But as you start taking one step forward, you don't have to see the whole staircase, as the famous adage goes. You need to just take action, and then you'll get a lot more clarity, just like your coaching client, Erin, who then spin off and realize, okay, like this is actually now what I want to pursue, because she had the institutional knowledge of her strengths and their weaknesses. So you don't know until you start taking action, which again, I want to recircle back to the initial conversation because that's just so mission critical.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. I was going to ask you for like some parting words of wisdom, but I think that's it right there. I mean, I think it was Zig Ziglar. Like, you don't have to be great to start, but you do have to start to be great, and you gotta, I mean, gosh, it just rings so true. I mean, it sounds so cliche, but it is so, so true. You've got to start somewhere. So and treat yourself like your own client, right? If you, someone that wants to be a coach, what would you be telling your client in terms of, taking the step necessary to get where you want to go? And take your own stinking advice. Oh my gosh, there are so many coaches that don't. Right?
Amen.
Yeah. Just do it. So awesome. Let people know, where can they find you? Where can they check out Fit Body Bootcamp or find where you're doing? I know you do some speaking too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate that question. The best way to find us, if you're interested in becoming a fitness coach as a Fit Body Bootcamp owner, certainly you can find our website. Or if you're a client here, I know that's not your main audience, but just interested in other aspects of coaching, but really need a fitness solution, you go to our website at fitbodybootcamp.com. That's fitbodybootcamp.com. That's the best way to find out all the information more about our brand. And I would love to continue to stay in touch with you and your audience, so I can continue to serve. And my social media handles from Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, all that is real Bryce Henson, not to be confused with fake Bryce Henson. So that's where you can find me.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This has been so great.
Laura and Aaron, I appreciate your time. And you know what? I just want to acknowledge you, the energy, the enthusiasm, the passion that you have. This has been such an amazing conversation. I just feel it in your souls. And I know you're so successful, and your audience is certainly the benefactors of that. So thanks so much for having me on. And I'm so excited to be aligned with both of you, because we have a big work cut out for us with the country's health crisis, with the obesity epidemic and pandemic going on. And we need more people like you. You're shining light. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
This podcast was brought to you by Primal Health Coach Institute. To learn more about how to become a successful health coach, get in touch with us by visiting primalhealthcoach.com/call. Or if you're already a successful health coach, practitioner, influencer, or thought leader with a thriving business and an interesting story, we'd love to hear from you. Connect with us at hello@primalhealthcoach.com and let us know why we need to interview you for Health Coach Radio. Thanks for listening.